In this video, I'm going to tell you how and why you need to get away from the NPD, ADD supervisor type that you may be working for. Now, in my case, I had one advantage in that I was working in higher ed, and part of my benefit package was that they paid for me to take courses. If I did pay anything, I only paid a very small fee, okay? Now, let me tell you first, before I tell you how I got out, let me tell you why you need to get out, okay? Now, in the first review that she gave me, it was about 8 months that I had been hired. It was just an okay review. There wasn't anything wrong, particularly, but it wasn't like a really good review, okay? And at our university, that's kind of average. Like, most people don't get like a 4 is about average. It means you come to your job, you're there on time, you do your work, you don't present any problems, you haven't had, caused any major fire hazards, or, you know what I mean? Like, you haven't caused major mayhem or anything like that. You just more or less come to your job, you're dressed right, and you're there on time, and you're not taking advantage and just driving people crazy, whatever. So I thought, well, that's okay, And then but the second year review came, and she had me marked down as underperforming. Okay. Now, this is just so ironic because when I first got there, I have to admit, like, I made a lot of mistakes. It's a complicated software program that I worked with, complicated applications. I had no idea what I was doing. And with those applications, there were no guides or training programs or anything. So it was mostly just her standing behind me, showing me how to do things, right, step by step. And occasionally, it was a lot to learn and get a hold of. And I made a lot of mistakes. And they weren't major, like you could easily fix them, right? And but in the second, after the first 6 months or so, 7 months, I really took off. Like, I learned it all really fast, and I got really good at what I was doing. And she told me, finally, after 8 months of me complaining, she finally showed me a couple of things that I could do in the AV racks that would solve problems faster. And so I started doing that, and I caught on. That was the turnover for me. I caught on to everything when it came to fixing things in there. And I would just run all day long, fixing things and training professors and checking on rooms, updating systems, installing new software, installing the drives for some of the equipment we have, these sorts of things, all right? Now, I also took on 10 times the amount of responsibility. I managed all of the students under us, student assistants. I did their schedule, and I managed them. And I fielded them for triaging problems in rooms with professors. I did all of the surplusing of inventory and tracking an inventory. I did all of the updating all the drives. I scheduled vendors. I coordinated with vendors. Trying to think, I scheduled all the rooms, all the recordings, just busy from morning, noon till night, most of the time. Now, I could be out and running around and fixing things and solve 5 problems, major problems in a room one day, fix all of these recording problems that were going on with the software, trained 2 professors, had a great time training them. They thanked me good. Everybody liked me, smiles all day long when I come into a room. And I would go back to her, sit down at my desk, and she would point out something that was wrong. And she'd find the littlest, tiniest thing, right, that meant nothing to anybody, but she had to point it out, okay? And I would fix it, and then the next day, and she would do this over and over and over. A lot of times she would go away for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, traveling, doing whatever, vacation, and I would run the whole show for 2 or 3 weeks, not a problem in the world, right, that I didn't fix. I fixed it all, and I ran it without any problems whatsoever. And she would come back, and she'd go from room to room to room, and she'd look for some small little thing that was out of place, and then she'd come back into the office and lay into me about that one small thing. Meanwhile, the whole other 13 days when I was solving every problem by myself without her there, covering her job and mine, none of that got acknowledged or validated. Okay? And when the next year was up for my review, she marked my performance down. And this is what a narcissist will do, okay? And they never want you to have any opportunity to climb a ladder, okay? They will never let that happen. They will do everything they can to hold you back from that. And so even though my review went up a few points in some areas, it came down in performance. Underperforming, she wrote. I could not believe it. The nerve of this woman, I swear it. So long as you have that, you can't get promoted, and if you do get a raise, it will not be the full, percentage that you would be eligible for, okay? And when, if you look for something else in the university, your other employers there who work with you will ask you about that score, right? So you're not going to get an opportunity to leave. This is it's unbelievable. And I used to hate going to work. And after a while, I started feeling like I was useless, and that I was worthless, and that I was stupid, and that I was incompetent, and that I would never escape this situation, and that my life was a waste. I was very depressed. I mean, really, really depressed. And I would, go in and talk to therapists, and they would say, you have, this depression, that depression, deep depression, chronic depression. I can't even remember all the different kinds of depression, right? And talking to them didn't really help me. All it was a reiteration of everything, like me saying everything bad that had happened and then prescribing something to me. And frankly, go to therapy if you want to go, but for me, I've been in therapy my whole life. It has never helped me a bit with anything. The only thing it's if you have a good friend to talk to, that's the same thing. Okay, that's what it was for me. It didn't do a bit of good. Yoga doesn't do any good. Meditation, it doesn't do any good. Wishful thinking doesn't do any good. The only things that ever really helped me to feel better were working out, and there was a couple other little things that I did. Okay, now so you can see that if your reviews are bad, you're screwed. And she was just looking for things to mark off wrong about me, and she'd make them up. I mean, none of the things that she would point out to me that were wrong were really my fault. If there was ever anything majorly wrong, she would be just as responsible for that thing having gone wrong as me, but she always blamed me, or she blamed one of our students, or she blamed somebody else. And this is classic narcissism too. Nobody is doing as good as they are. Nobody is putting in as much work as they are. Nobody is getting anything right the way they are, and nobody is doing anything right but them. Every time there's something that goes wrong, it's on somebody else did it, okay? Somebody else's fault. And I used to hate going to work, okay? I hated her, and I hated going to work. So what I did was when I first got there, I was like halfway through with a post-bachelor's degree, so a graduate certificate. And my plan was, they were paying for it, right? So my plan was to get this certificate, and that as fast as I could. That way, if I left, and I lost that education benefit, at least I would have gotten the certificate. Do you see what I'm saying? And then when it appeared that I would stay a little longer, I had like maybe another 16 months, I worked as fast as I could to parlay that certificate into another graduate degree. All right, and you can use that experience of getting that second master's, second for you, it was like third or fourth for me, as an opportunity to network, to make contacts, and to, bolster your resume, and to serve on committees and all of these things, right? And also career placement. It turned out I didn't need career placement because I found something on my own. So I worked on my master's degree and another one, and that gave me hope, okay, that I would get out. And my employer paid for it. Now, if your employer will pay for something, pay for you to, take a course at the community college or get a certificate in something, do it. Do it. And if they will pay or put in for, pay half your credit at a college, spend the money and get the degree. Whatever you have to do. If they're going to give you some kind of training, take it. Take it, because the more they invest in your training, the less likely they're going to be to fire you and harangue you, and the more likely they'll be to promote you because they've already got all that invested in you. And if they don't, take advantage of the training that they gave you, somebody else will. Okay, somebody will find that attractive, that you have that training. They don't have to pay for it themselves because somebody else has already paid for it, and they'll snag you really fast. Especially if it's a skill set that's, like if it's databases or medical records or, whatever it is. If you're a paralegal, you go get a real estate, something certificate. Now, see, your next employer wants that skill set, and they don't want to pay for that, have to pay you to get that training. You've already got the training, right? So they will snatch you up in a second. So go do it, okay? Always be working on another skill set, always, so that you can, make your getaway. The other thing about it is that if you don't have to pay for it, that's like, and you're getting something that's, like for me, it would have cost me $2,400 to take 2 courses, right? If I took 6 courses all year, that would be like, over $14,000. It's like adding to my salary, right? Because I would have had that money, but I would have spent it on courses, right? So it's actually like adding to your salary because you're not having to pay for it. And then it's future earning potential. So that's another way that they're actually adding to your salary, is that you will make more money in the future than what you would have made otherwise, okay? So any kind of training or educational benefit they're going to give you, take advantage of it and be working. First, get the certificate, get the minimal thing, right? And then if you stay there a little longer, parlay that into something bigger, okay? If you don't have any college degree, go get an associate's degree, okay? And get it in something practical, okay, that you can put to use right away. Don't go like philosophy, like you're not going to be able to use out in the market. Get something that is marketable and do it right away. All right, now, okay, so every morning I used to get up and I'd make my coffee and I'd sit down on the couch, okay? And I'd go to my favorite job boards and I'd look at all of the jobs listed there, and I could see like there were 36 universities who wanted people who had my skill sets. All right, so there is somebody telling you right there when you read that you are valuable, that you can do something, and that your skills are valued. Narcissists will work really hard to make you feel like you're nothing, that you're worthless, that you are a buffoon, that you're a fumbling buffoon, and they will go around, and she did this too. Go around and tell everybody that you work with that you're incompetent. Now, if you do make a mistake, like I did, she'd go around tell everybody, in the beginning. And then after that, whenever she was alone with those people or whatever, I know she was talking about me behind my back. I heard it myself on monitors, and I got that feeling from other people that I worked with that she would go around and talk me down, okay? But if you're looking at a job board and you can see that you are worth something, that you have skill sets that are valuable, that you can get a job somewhere else where you will be valued, or your skill sets will be valued, or you'll be paid more, or more likely to get a promotion, to move up the ladder. Don't stay with these people who want to drag you down, all right? So, and then what I would also do is I would dream big looking at the job boards. Okay, well, if I had say I had my dream job, what kind of degree would I need? What kind of skills do I need? Oh, hey, look, I've got half those skills already. If I just take this and I do that, then I can build up those skill sets in another year in this position, then I can apply for that job. You see what I'm saying? So it makes you feel a little bit better, like, oh, if I could just stay there another year, then I would have 3 years, then I can leave. You know what I mean? Because most employers want to see that you've been at a place for 3 years. Now, I didn't even make it 2 years in this position, and I just, was graduating and from a hot degree program, and I got hired right away. But that's what I did to build up my self-esteem, is I just got on those job boards every morning, and I looked and I dreamed and I reassured myself that I was moving in the right direction and that I could move up, and that not everybody would see me as a loser and as making mistakes and not competent. Like, I had the skill sets and the degrees right there. I had people telling me, looking at those ads, I could see that my skill sets would be wanted, right? So don't let these narcissist types make you feel like you can't do anything and that you are stuck, all right? She might have made me stuck at that institution, but I could go to another institution, right? And thanks a lot for paying for my degree. Now I'll take my skill sets that you paid for and I'll put them to use somewhere else where they're appreciated, Nobody in HR helped me. When I went to them and complained about how she was with me, they didn't do anything. And they ignored me. And I finally wrote a letter when I left about the things that had happened to me, and they didn't even respond to it. So don't think that HR is going to help you. You have to do things on your own, okay? Get those skill sets and hang on to the hope of getting out. And what I would recommend too is apply to the big places first, the big companies, because once you get an application in and do your cover letter and be specific with the cover letter, don't just rage apply and don't give a cover letter. Write your cover letter, make it individualized, and then apply into the biggest companies first, because that way you can keep applying, but you don't have to redo your resume and your application every time. You can just put in a new rec number, and hopefully they'll have like a digital system and they'll just forward your application with that rec number. But be prepared, you will have to write an individualized cover letter. But if it's for the same company and maybe just a little bit different job, you're just going to have to tweak it a little bit. And so that's what I did, is I started applying to the biggest places nearest to me first. Do the ones that are nearest to you first, because they will know the program that you just came out of, or they will know the place where you just came out of. They'll know, right? And so they'll know what you're about, and they'll be more likely to hire you because they'll know that you're willing to make the move just, an hour away, 2 hours away, right? Or across state. Do that. And then after a while, in your third year, if you're sending out applications and resumes all of year 2, by the time 3 years comes around, you should be able to get out. And don't ever look back, and don't believe the nonsense and the baloney that these narcissist types put you through. You are valuable and you have skill sets that somebody wants. Don't let them feel like you're incompetent and that you can't do anything. And don't let them ruin your self-esteem. Like, that's what happened to me. Okay, do everything you can to be looking to get out and holding your head up and getting those skills and getting ready to leave. Every day there is a day closer to the day you can walk out the door for the last time.